Good Friday morning, and thank you so much for waking up with us here on Sunrise. I'm Jordyn Markhoff. I know so many people are going to be trick-or-treating later today, so we want to make sure we get you that first alert forecast so you know everything you need to know before you hit the streets with that pillowcase. Joining us now is meteorologist Vaughn Gaskin. Vaughn, how is it looking for those kiddos who want to get out and get trick-or-treating?
Oh, we have been gearing up for this excitement here at Columbia High School, and as you can see, the energy is high. This is so exciting. I mean, one of the most amazing alumni of this high school is now going to be on the Today Show anchor desk.
Right now, we know that those two left lanes are closed, and traffic really seems to be moving very slowly out there. Look, his tongue is so long.
Oh yeah, he loves it.
It's so fascinating to see these animals up close and personal because they really are so massive and you can actually see their features. If you're from up north and you're looking at this and realizing this is the thinnest snow of all time, you're right, and I don't care. I'm going to do a snow angel anyways. I want you all to have this first experience with me, so we're making it happen. All right, I have to do it. Hopefully this turns out good. This probably looks really silly. If you are driving along this street and you see me doing this, please don't take a picture of me. Just watch TV. So, oh, that looks kind of good. The Republicans already hold a supermajority in the House, but would they be able to now gain a supermajority in the Senate? Well, really, Democrats only had to lose one seat in order for them to do that. So Republicans, it's looking like now, have been able to flip 4 seats.
Yes, we are at a home here on Montcrest Road where you can see I am on one of the trees that fell in this area. This is one of the trees here, and then the other tree fell on Angela Count's home.
You can tell that Bamberg County right here is yellow, which means a higher percentage of residents are without power there. Now, one person, of course, I'd be remiss to not mention today, Joe Pinner. We are having a celebration of life in Columbia for him. Of course, a South Carolina television icon. And in your tribute to him, you said that getting to be his colleague was a pinch me moment for you. Well, today you're also having another pinch me moment in your career. How does it feel? Describe this moment.
I wasn't expecting that one.
It is never too late to start something new. That's the message from one woman in Prosperity who's serving up food hot off the grill at her new hot dog stand. I spoke with the 85-year-old entrepreneur who explains what inspired her to set off on this new adventure.
Grilling up dogs and sizzling fries. That's just a small part of what 85-year-old Joanne Dehart, or Boss Lady JoJo, does on a daily basis at Jay's Hot Diggity Dogs.
I love people, and I love helping people, and that's what it's all about.
But this isn't her first time in the restaurant biz. Back in 1980, Joanne and her husband opened Frandina's, one of the few restaurants serving up hot food in Prosperity.
After my husband passed away in 2010, I volunteered at a thrift store in Chapin, Good Works, and I said, you know, the old restaurant is still standing. Why don't I do that? And one of my workers, they said, we just said, Joanne, that's a fine thing for you to do.
So Joanne got to it, turning the old Frandina's into Heart and Hands thrift shop, serving people all throughout the community.
And this small part was the restaurant, Old Frandina's. And then we built all this on.
Now, folks can get furniture, kitchenware, antiques.
And these are some more collectibles that we have.
You name it, and Joanne probably has it. To keep it all running smoothly, Joanne has one volunteer who's been with her from the very start, and their friendship all began at that thrift store in Chapin.
And Joanne happened to be in there, and she came walking up, and she said, well, I need help, and I'm opening a thrift store, and it's on Macedonia Church Road in Prosperity. And I said, I live on Macedonia Church Road in Prosperity.
After Jana Quisto lost her daughter to colon cancer, Joanne Dehart was by her side every step of the way.
She'd always say if I would bring in something of my daughter's to donate, she'd say, it's a good thing, Jan. It's a really good thing because you're passing it on to someone else to enjoy.
But Joanne still felt like something was missing.
Nobody had anything to eat around here. So I said, you know, why don't we do a similar small hot dog stand?
And that is how Jay's Hot Diggity Dogs was born. If you're wondering what you should get when you stop by, well, Joanne does have a suggestion.
A hot dog all the way, with chili, mustard, onions, everything.
With a thrift shop and a hot dog stand, you'd think Joanne DeHart would have her hands full. But it turns out the only thing full is her heart.
I just love people and I love doing what I'm doing. It's a joy to come to work.
For brothers Henry and Carl Goldberg and their sister Esther Greenberg, they see the present through the lens of a painful past, a past their parents endured firsthand.
To see our parents having been suffered for so many years and to see it all potentially happening again was their worst fear.
Those fears played out in nightmares.
I mean, they would have bad dreams. We would hear them, especially my father, screaming out at night.
Her father, Felix Goldberg, was drafted into the Polish army in 1938.
But much later, they separated out the Jewish people from the rest. And then it started to go bad.
So bad that for many years it appeared neither he nor his eventual wife would survive. Felix was loaded onto a cattle train heading for the Warsaw Ghetto.
He jumped off the train and the SS caught him and put him back on the train, beat him up and said, "Stay on this train, you know, you dirty Jew," or whatever, you know, "we're going to the Warsaw Ghetto." Well, a few kilometers later, he took the chance and jumped off again, and this time he was able to stay off.
Putting one foot in front of the other, Felix walked for days until he made it to the town of Tulishkov, where his grandparents lived. It wasn't until a year later he was loaded onto a train heading for the Auschwitz concentration camp. Meanwhile, his eventual wife Bluma was just 13 years old when Nazis invaded her hometown of Pinchov.
My mother's mother and father had to make a decision, and the decision was made is that my mother and one of her sisters, Sella, would leave the family and they would run into the woods.
They wouldn't have known it at the time, but it turned out that running into the woods saved their lives. After hiding from the Nazis behind a lumber yard and going into slave labor at an ammunition factory, Bluma and her older sister Sella were taken to Bergen-Belsen concentration camp.
Most of the Jewish people in that town ended up in Treblinka. And if you know Treblinka was a death camp. You would just get on the train, you would go to Treblinka, and you'd go right in the gas chamber.
Bluma and Sella ended up contracting typhus at Bergen-Belsen, taking care of each other every step of the way.
Had Mom not had her older sister, and she said to us she probably wouldn't have survived.
And it was the same case for Felix after meeting David Miller in Auschwitz. The two helped each other survive every day, but their loyalty shined brightest during one of their darkest moments, the death march from Auschwitz to Gross Rosen concentration camp.
Dad and David Miller and another person would walk three abreast and hold the middle person up, and they would sleep and walk at the same time.
Surviving on nothing but a few potatoes, Felix would yet again find himself inches away from death as the SS rounded up prisoners in the woods, executing them.
And they called his number. He had a tattoo, and they went by number. And he said to himself, "From this place, I'm not going to move." And the Nazis were screaming at him to everybody with this number, "Come out, come out." He didn't come out, and so it lasted 3 days like that, and he made it till the Americans came.
Finally liberated, both Felix and Bluma were taken to Landsberg Displaced Persons Camp, where survivors could learn trades. A short time later, they got married in a double wedding with Sella and David, the two who got them through. With the help of the Red Cross and the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, Sella and David were placed in Columbia, South Carolina.
The sisters still wanted to be together. They couldn't think of being that across the ocean from each other.
So after sailing across the Atlantic to New Orleans and getting on a train that would reunite Bluma with her older sister, Bluma and Felix Goldberg landed right here in Columbia. This might now be a restaurant called California Dreaming, but this was once Union Station, a place that served as a gateway to opportunity for a couple who easily could have lost all hope. Virtually penniless and unable to speak English, Felix Goldberg had to find a way to make a living. But with his finesse, he'd make it happen.
I mean, he came to the United States in 1949, and by 1957, he had his own business.
And that business, Tile Center on Two Notch Road, is still thriving and family-owned to this day. Now, Henry, Carl, and Esther advocate for strengthening Holocaust education and serve as speakers on the Columbia Holocaust Education Commission, something they feel has never been so important.
We would hope that anti-Semitism has decreased, since the Holocaust, but actually, anti-Semitism has really been on the rise.
According to the Anti-Defamation League, anti-Semitic incidents rose 93% in South Carolina from 2022 to 2023, and nationwide, they rose 140%. The most dramatic increase came after Hamas's attack on Israel on October 7th. That day marked the deadliest day for Jews since the Holocaust.
It's like, what's new? This has been going on since day one. It's like get in line for who hates the Jewish people.
In response to the Israel-Hamas war, pro-Palestinian protests have erupted on American college campuses. Many Jewish students at Columbia University, where one of the largest protests is underway, feel things have turned violent, claiming protesters shout phrases like "Go back to Poland" and "Death to the Jews." It's this kind of rhetoric that reminds this family of what their parents experienced.
Being against Israel is one thing, being against Jews is another. I think you can express yourself by talking about the country, not about the religion.
A statement these children of Holocaust survivors hope resonates with Americans this Yom HaShoah as the Jewish people do what they're all too familiar with. Stand firm in the face of hate.
Our hope is that one day, it won't be again, but our fear is that it is.
Jordyn Markhoff, WIS News 10.